This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight on the South Today, chaotic scenes in Dunedin as the university cancels graduation parades at the last minute. An employment crisis for the Central Otago fruit picking industry is being tackled by 2 government ministers. And the spirit of giving is alive and well in Oamaru at the city's food drive. Tēnā koutou katoa, ngā mihi o te ahi nei, kia ora. I'm Simon Anderson. The University of Otago hastily cancelled 2 graduation ceremonies today due to a security scare. The university sent out text alerts to students, distributed flyers on campus and alerted media to a threat made about the safety of students.
Disappointed and tearful students turning away from Dunedin's town hall after the day's 2 graduation ceremonies were cancelled at the last minute. Richard Marks was among those due to graduate today. He and his mother are philosophical.
It's frustrating, but it's much better to be safe than sorry in this situation. Otherwise the day could have been a lot more tragic than it actually was, I feel.
Nothing guarantees that the next ceremonies will be going ahead. Same thing could happen, couldn't it?
Police and the University of Otago held a press conference this afternoon outlining the situation.
The safety of everyone who was to take part in those ceremonies and the wider Dunedin community is at the heart of this very difficult decision. We realize that it is going to be incredibly distressing to our graduands and their families who were planning on graduating in person today.
We are taking the threat very seriously. I have a large team working on it as we speak, and we're confident that we will make progress over the next 24 to 36 hours.
The university says it had received the threat electronically earlier in the week and advised of the postponement, which affects 553 students. Richard Marks says the university has communicated well.
It was very quick. Everyone got a message. Anyone that had the Otago student app downloaded instantly got a notification following that. Everyone got emailed to their student email about the situation, and there were people on campus handing out flyers after that as well.
The University of Otago says that the graduations will be rescheduled. And addressing the person or people behind the threat, Superintendent Paul Basham says it's not too late to come forward and talk with police. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Firefighters were busy containing about 300 litres of diesel which spilled out of a tank in Dunedin. The quick response prevented the diesel from running into a nearby waterway.
This diesel spill in a light industrial yard in the Dunedin suburb of Green Island was contained by firefighters before it could flow into the nearby Kaikarai stream.
We have a situation of about 300 litres of diesel spilled from a tank which holds 1,500 litres. We've got it bundled and prevented from going into the local creek.
Senior Station Officer Rob Torrance says the diesel leak was due to an automatic pump not shutting off. He says 2 crew members had their splash suits covered in diesel and needed to be decontaminated with a strong blast of soapy water.
2 of our firefighters covered in diesel trying to stop it before we could get inside to turn the power off. So what we've done with them is they're just covered in diesel basically. So we've carried out what we call a level 1 and 2 decontamination, and our ambulance crews are just looking at them now, just assessing them. It doesn't sound like they're going to transport them to hospital at the moment. They're quite happy with them, so we'll probably sit them down somewhere and watch them for a couple of hours and then maybe send them home.
Otago Regional Council staff were also involved in containing the spill. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Government ministers Carmel Sepuloni and Chris Farfoy are in Central Otago addressing employment issues facing the area this fruit season. The Ministers of Employment and Immigration respectively say the horticultural sector is still feeling fallout from COVID-19.
Central Otago is arguably the nation's fruit bowl, and this time of the year is one of the busiest seasons as fruit ripens and needs to come off vines and go to market. Typically, many foreign workers come to New Zealand for the season to help pick fruit. However, that's not possible with COVID-19. Ministers Carmel Sepuloni and Chris Whawhoi are visiting the region, offering help to the sector.
Seasonal workers are obviously an area where there's been some pressure because of the borders being closed and being in this COVID context, and so there's been real efforts to try and get more of our domestic workforce into some of the jobs that are available in horticulture and viticulture.
Minister Whawhoi admits the border closure does put pressure on the sector, but says they're staying in contact with growers.
Oh, look, there's still pressure, but with the border closed, we're obviously watching those settings all the time. We're kind of hearing promising signs that the workforce issues are for particular parts of the season are slowly being addressed. But as we said when we announced the RSE changes a couple of weeks ago, we'll keep talking to the sector.
The ministers visited 3 orchards in Alexandra, talking with the orchardists, who say finding staff who can take on the work is tough. Unions say they've heard from many New Zealanders who say they've applied for positions on fruit farms, but either been turned down or never heard back. Minister Sepuloni says some Kiwis may not be up to the hard physical work required.
People in the industry themselves tell us that fitness is a requirement, and doing things like apple picking at the peak requires a couple of years of experience to be able to do it as well as what potentially some of the RSE scheme workers have been doing.
However, Minister Whawhoi maintains the government's plan is to get New Zealanders into work in this field.
We obviously want to try and prioritise getting New Zealanders into jobs, but as the harvests continue over the summer, we'll be keeping in close contact just to make sure that there's enough labour to try and do that work.
Chris Whawhoi says around 2,000 foreign workers are due to enter New Zealand through managed isolation early in the new year, but admits it's not as many workers as the industry had asked for. In Alexandra, The South Today.
2 people were taken to hospital after a car rolled off Dunedin's Portobello Road and dropped into the water at McAndrew Bay. Police say the occupants of the car, which came to a stop upside down in Otago Harbour, were able to escape the vehicle before emergency services arrived around 7 p.m. Police confirm the occupants were taken to hospital, but cannot say whether they sustained any injuries or were taken there out of precaution. Traffic management was required while the car was being removed from the water. The Oamaru Combined Churches Food Bank has been inundated with items thanks to the community's generosity. The annual street appeal gathers donations from the public to be redistributed to the needy.
The North Otago Lions Club hosted its annual Toot for Taka food drive in Oamaru, gathering all sorts of donations of non-perishable items for the food bank. Emergency services, community youth groups and various Lions Club members took to the streets throughout the town and nearby Weston to collect the items. Organisers say the response was absolutely overwhelming and they're grateful for the community's support. The food bank is planning to start making parcels on Friday, ready to be delivered to families throughout North Otago. In Oamaru, The South Today.
Still to come on The South Today, Santa visits Kaiapoi and Christmas comes early for Wanaka tractor lovers. Ka kite akua nei.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole Map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
I am in the middle of George Street, corner of Hanover and George. Come and see what I get in here. This is where I go shopping. So look what I can choose from in here. It's fantastic. Knitwear, flash shirts. Look at those flash shirts. Trousers, jeans, pullovers, Oh look, they've got some hoodies. I love hoodies.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
But my friend Lindsay, he says this store's only here till January the 10th, so I better dash. See you later.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
For over 100 years, Presbyterian Support has been helping people in your region through all conditions, ages and stages of life. Our Enliven and Family Work services are always there when you need them. People in your community are facing unprecedented challenges and they need your help. By making a donation to your local Presbyterian Support in South Canterbury, Otago or Southland, you'll be helping us to help people where you live. Together we can make a difference. We are people helping people.
Hoki mai anō. The trial for a man accused of murder in the Dunedin suburb of St Clair has been set for February. 38-year-old John Kenneth Collins appeared in the High Court in Dunedin after pleading not guilty to the murder of Brent Andrew Bacon. The 45-year-old victim's body was found beside a rural road north of Waitati in February last year. Police went on to investigate a crime scene in Lock Street, St Clair. Collins admitted taking the victim's blue Toyota People Mover, which was later found in Picton. The defendant will remain in custody until next year's trial. Kaiapoi was bursting at the seams as Santa Claus came to town last weekend. With the main Christchurch Santa Parade cancelled due to COVID-19 uncertainty, Kaiapoi was first out of the blocks for the greater Christchurch area, with families flocking to see the big guy in the red suit.
From sports clubs to stormtroopers, a Christmas Grinch and members of the Rebel Alliance, and even a pipe band. Many areas of society were represented at Kaiapoi's annual Christmas parade. Many versions of the jolly guy in the red suit made appearances in the parade, including this inflatable one on the back of a silver 1970s Valiant station wagon. Members of the Waimakariri Young Farmers Club arrived on a good-sized Massey Ferguson tractor, as well as on a large piece of farm machinery. As for the main attraction, the man of the season, Santa Claus, he made time to chat with young fans and hear what they wanted for Christmas after the parade.
Say bye-bye, Santa.
While Santa was giving out free hugs, during the parade there were also religious organisations reminding people of the reason for the season. In Kaiapoi, the South Today.
A new club for tractor enthusiasts is being set up in Wanaka. While many rural centres have tractor clubs already, and Wanaka features about 40 of the farm vehicles in the East Parade annually, the town hasn't had its own club until now.
Don't let anyone tell you that tractors are simple to start, because Ron Muir, who is responsible for maintaining this collection of about 200 vintage tractors in Wanaka, begs to differ.
There's that many little levers and buttons and knobs you got to push. And you've got to remember, you do it wrong and you won't get it to go.
In fact, this diesel Caterpillar has a small petrol engine to warm it up as part of the starting process.
Yeah, you got a pony motor here which heats up the manifold to warm it up instead of glow plugs, and it also puts it into gear, the main motor into gear. Then we've got to come over here and have no decompression to let it cycle through. Open up the throttle, the shut-off valve, and the hand throttle up there, just open that right up. And then when she'll start smoking, and then you should be able to put it into run position, and you should be all go.
Many rural towns have well-established tractor clubs, but Wanaka's club is just getting started. With nearly all the tractors in perfect running condition, and most taking part in the grand parade at the Wheels on Wanaka event each Easter, Muir is keen to have other enthusiasts available to drive the vehicles. And he's got plenty of advice for those starting out, such as how to avoid losing a thumb if the crank handle spins backwards during a backfire while starting.
To crank, you never ever crank with a handle like that.
Why is that?
Because it'll come back. If anything backfires, it'll take your thumb off. You always put your thumb over like that, so that can still spin.
This collection is owned by Wanaka property developer Alan Dippy, and Muir says he approves of most of the tractors except for the Hart Par brand.
There's your crank handle, and you've got to go this way with it. And see how close that is. You'll have, knuckles gone. Ooh. If she did something damage, yeah, no, I just don't like them.
The first meeting of the new Wanaka Tractor Club is scheduled for the end of January. In Wanaka, the South Today.
After the break on the South Today, we start our look back at the year in news, returning to January, which set the table for a tumultuous year, and we take a look at your end-of-week weather. Hei koko ake nei.
PVC windows and doors. PVC is 9% more efficient than standard aluminium and 60% more efficient than thermally broken aluminium. It's multi-chambered, you don't get any condensation through the frame, and if you put decent glass in, you get the big difference to aluminium.
Step into Shop on Carroll and discover a shop full of treasures. We have a fantastic range of vintage and retro clothes, upmarket clothing labels, collectible items, beautiful jewellery, quality linen and the best range of vintage haberdashery.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
Here I am in the middle of George Street, corner of Hanover and George. Come and see what I get in here. This is where I go shopping. So look what I can choose from in here. It's fantastic. Knitwear, flash shirts. Look at those flash shirts. Trousers, jeans, pullovers. Oh look, they've got some hoodies. I love hoodies.
every season. We're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
But my friend Lindsay, he says this store's only here till January the 10th, so I better dash. See you later.
Ah, TV, our favourite babysitter. But it can be tough keeping up with what our tamariki are watching. Luckily, the Broadcasting Standards Authority has made some smart changes to the classification labels. Ooh! Plus changes to the time of day certain rated shows will air, and awesome new parental lock features, meaning your babysitter's job is safe. Find out more at safeviewing.co.nz.
Lord, 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 don't you hear Jerusalem long? Don't you hear Jerusalem long? Bring the man he used to be back. My armor already cut to the bone. You can take that country and me.
No mai no, welcome back. In the lead up to Christmas, we're taking a look back at the news highlights over the last 12 months. January saw the holiday resort town of Queenstown marred by several tragic road accidents and concerns starting to be expressed about a new virus in China.
January was a bleak start to the year for some local families with road deaths, including this collision on Queenstown's Frankton Road. Queenstown identity Nolene Tate was killed and Cromwell motorcyclist Glenn Cherry seriously injured when Singaporean tourist Dalbert Tin crossed the centre line and hit them head-on. Tin was disqualified for 15 months and ordered to pay more than $28,000 in reparations. Queenstown tourism giant Real Journeys was busy building a village for its staff across Lake Wakatipu from Queenstown in response to rising rents.
It's just real convenient to be living at work, you're a 5-minute walk away, and yeah, you save a lot of money here, which a lot of people can't do in Queenstown.
Real Journeys spent $1.5 million on 3 new houses at Walter Peak High Country Farm. Some New Zealanders were already expressing concern in January about a coronavirus outbreak in China, with fears it could spread to New Zealand. Nigel Miller of the Southern District Health Board said that at that point in time, people in New Zealand shouldn't worry about catching the new virus.
So should people in New Zealand be concerned? Should you be worried today you might be infected? Well, the answer is no. Because at the present time, as I say this, there are no cases in New Zealand.
At that time, he also expressed confidence in the country's ability to deal with the disease.
Of course, people who have travelled from China, who feel at risk, have come to us and they're screened, and so far we haven't come across anything that causes us concern.
Following closure of the country's borders, the death toll in New Zealand from COVID-19 stands at 25, among a worldwide death toll of over 1.5 million.
And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South today. There were chaotic scenes in Dunedin as the university cancelled graduation parades at the last minute. An employment crisis for the Central Otago fruit picking industry is being tackled by 2 government ministers. And the spirit of giving is alive and well in Oamaru at the city's food drive. And now for a look at what's happening in tomorrow's ODT. We have editor Barry Stewart with us this evening. Kia ora, Barry.
Hello, Simon. I'm just replacing my microphone, which just dropped to the floor, so apologies for that. We're back in business.
Here we are.
Now, of course, the big news of the day is the cancellation of the graduations from the University of Otago, which is obviously pretty traumatic for a number of people there. There were tears outside the dental school, but that turned to smiles on campus as families got together and did the best they could in the situation. So, and of course, a lot of those people had missed out on the graduation through the COVID situation. So, yeah, disappointing for them. So we'll have an update on the latest developments in the newspaper tomorrow. and we'll see what happens from there. Clutha District Council has been fined nearly $500,000 for failures to manage its wastewater treatment plants, so it's a pretty hefty fine for the council. And of course, weather is always front and centre and a topic of conversation. Well, now severe weather warnings around Otago will be issued with more certainty after Met Service switched on its newest weather radar. So there we are. We're going to have more accurate information about what's coming ahead, and that's a good introduction to your weather segment. So I'll leave you with that.
Brilliant. Thanks, Barry. And time now for a look at that weather.
Tonight's weather proudly brought to you by MoleMap.
Beginning with the southern view, a transformer in the wharf area. Is there more than meets the eye? Looking at the situation, airflow brings colder temperatures for the coming days. Rain and southwesterlies for many by Friday, only ease slightly for the weekend. It's cloud and mild in the northwest, 19 in Westport, 18 for Greymouth. Showers up top, though still warm, both towns on 21 degrees. The rain in Blenheim may be a little heavier. Out east, those showers reach Kaikoura too on 19 degrees. Just spots of cloud over Christchurch and Ashburton, both on 21. To the southern towns, where freshening westerlies carry rain, which develops over the day. 17 degrees for Lumsden and Gore, 18 for Balclutha, and 19 degrees in the Catlins. Up in central, it's fresh westerlies and rain for Te Anau as well on 15 degrees. Moderate northwesterlies and otherwise fine for the other centres, 21 for Wanaka and Queenstown, 23 for Alexandra. And those northwesterlies blow through the centre of the island as well, otherwise fine in Twizel and Omarama, both on 21 degrees. And it's moderate northerlies and scattered high cloud for those on the coast, 23 for Oamaru, 24 for Timaru. Northeasterlies drag in some high cloud for Dunedin tonight on 11 degrees. Early sun tomorrow eventually gives way to cloud and then rain as moderate northerly winds turn to cooler southwesterlies. A high of 19 and a low of 12. Friday sees cloud and cold. Rain eases as the day progresses, but the gusty southwesterlies blow throughout. A high of 13 and a low of 8 degrees. And it's cloudy tonight and for the rest of the working week in Invercargill, I'm afraid. An overnight low of 10 degrees. Showers and fresh westerlies tomorrow too. Heavier rain develops later with colder southwesterlies. A high of 15 and a low of 9. And that weather persists Friday as the mercury continues to drop, a high of 12 and a low of 7 degrees. And that's the news this Wednesday. For the latest news from the southern region, head online to odt.co.nz or follow Channel 39 on Facebook and YouTube. Nō reira, kia pai te pō, ka kite anō.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.